Good morning, YouTube land, Utopia, and Joe. What's up? How's everybody doing? Kramzer here with Joe here on Listography. Good Music America. We got a lot to talk about today. First off, hope you guys enjoyed our new game show segment over the weekend with Shannon from Shannon Talks Music. That is going to be a running episodic show on Saturdays for a while. And then maybe, I don't know, maybe the network will pick it up for season 2 when we're done. We'll see. I don't know. But biggest news, not the biggest news, some news to lead off with. Sinead O'Connor announced that she is retiring. I had all my notes ready to talk about Sinead, maybe wrap up some of our favorite Sinead stuff. And then on Saturday, she changed her mind. She said, "Good news, F retiring, I retract, am not retiring. I was temporarily allowing pigs and lipstick to F my head up." What happened? Did she fake retiring for publicity or what? I did notice after she made that announcement that I was getting like all of the Nothing Compares to You videos, like in my feed on Facebook and Instagram, and her SNL moment. Did she do it just for the publicity, or what's going on here?
Probably. I mean, does anyone know what's really going on in Sinead O'Connor's head? She hasn't really been relevant since she tore up the Pope's picture. She had one #1 with a Prince song. She recently accused Prince of threatening to beat her up and stuff. I just have no idea what goes on with her in her head, what her goal is. Like, what is she trying to accomplish with all this? Is it just the truth coming out finally about Prince? Is she really just like, switching her mind around on retirement every 10 minutes? I just don't know what's the point? Is there going to be like a new album drop in like a week? And then maybe like, okay, clearly you're just pushing for, trying to drum up for that. But I just don't understand her ever, and anything she does, just like whatever.
Yeah, you bring up something interesting in light of the recent Paul Mayweather fight. Prince versus Sinead 10, 15 years ago would have drawn big money, huge money, and probably would have been a fair fight. Maybe Vegas leaning a little bit towards Sinead. Yeah, she said that she got triggered after doing some interviews for her new memoir, Rememberings, talked a little about her childhood trauma, and then she just kind of went off. She said it was a knee-jerk reaction, which, if she's bringing up these old feelings that are not fun to deal with, that can happen. But it's not like this is out of nowhere. Like you said, she's always been a bit of a head case, no doubt.
It's also very easy to like just go on Twitter and be like, "I'm retiring," just because you got mad at something, or there's trolls after you on social media. Like I think we've discussed this before about Twitter. It just leads to like rash decisions from celebrities who normally would have to go through a publicist or something, and they'd be like, "Okay, wait, just hold up there, Sinead." But now she can just jump on Twitter and be like, "I'm retiring, peace," and then the next day wake up and just be like, "Oops, that was a dumb idea." So there's just no filter. So you're gonna have this. I don't think Sinead O'Connor is like unique in this sort of behavior.
Yeah, Twitter kind of killed the public relations community. It's just you always have a microphone to the world walking around. And she's not the only famous singer in the news saying some pretty bizarre stuff. We've got Mrs. Elon Musk, Grimes, who we both like a lot as an artist, recently said that she would support artificial intelligence as a form of government. She said that AI is our fastest path to communism. And I quote, "If implemented correctly, AI could actually theoretically solve for abundance. Like, we could totally get to a situation where nobody has to work. Everybody is provided for with a comparable state of being, comfortable living. AI could automate all the farming, weed out systematic corruption, thereby bringing us as close as possible to genuine equality." This seems more like just sort of, wishful thinking of a utopia, and just better sort of details and concept for like an album rather than reality here in 2021, right?
I mean, she's like a futurist, so she's always thinking of the future. It kind of you know, goes into her music even. She's a lot of synths and computers and stuff like that. So probably she was just watching like Star Trek or something. She sees, you know, they can materialize anything they want. It's like a post-scarcity world. And like that's what she's thinking about. She's thinking about, okay, the future, we're not going to need anything because computers are going to do everything for us. And, you know, artificial intelligence will decide that communism is the best way to do it because robots and computers do everything for us. And we can just hang back, chill, and, you know, make cool music on our computers all day.
Would we have to vote on who the robot programmers are? Because then it's just kind of the same thing. Like there are certain people I don't want programming robots.
Like maybe Elon Musk.
Or Jason.
Well, I think at some point, it doesn't matter who creates the AI because it'll just take control of itself and become, you know, whatever, alive, a HAL 2000 kind of thing, and it'll decide and it'll make its own programs and everything else. So it's pretty much out of our hands, is what it sounds like.
Well, as long as she keeps making really good music, I don't care what she says publicly or who she dates or whatever. Couple of notes on some new stuff. It's awesome. Pandemic's almost entirely gone, it feels like, and everyone's announcing albums and tours. We've got a new Lorde song, which I've been waiting for. You know, Lorde is pretty famous over the last 10 years, but only has released 2 albums, and now finally a new song. And I believe the new album is leaked as well. I actually haven't heard the new song, but I know you and Jason have.
We were texting about it, messaging about the song, which is Solar Power. And I don't know if that's the name of the album too. I guess it is. So, you know, okay, title track to Solar Power. I don't like it. I think it's okay. I think the lyrics are terrible. They're one step removed from like Rivers Cuomo, like now lyrics. Like they're really kind of awkward and forced and just kind of cheesy. And the music's okay. It's pretty sparse, stripped down a little bit, but I don't know. It doesn't work for me very well. Jason doesn't like it. He thinks it sucks. So he's probably getting hacked right now. His bank account stolen by all the Lorde fans because they are kind of a force to be reckoned with.
Which brings us to a discussion we'd like to have via the internet and the communities that it creates. What's the deal with all of these hardcore fanboys and fangirls of certain artists that are just like diehard legionnaires to the point of trolling and bullying? You guys experienced a little bit in the comments half a year ago or whatever when you reviewed Taylor Swift. You know, a lot of these groups just think like if you're anti our group, then there's a scroll of things wrong with you as human beings. It's getting a little crazy, to be honest.
It is getting crazy to the point where you kind of have to second guess whether or not you actually want to tell the truth about an artist and how you feel about them. Jason and I, of course, steadfast in our beliefs, we didn't love Folklore by Taylor Swift. Jason gave it a 2.5. I think I gave it a 3. And that was a problem for some internet commenters. Fortunately, we're not very famous, so I didn't have my bank account hacked or my social media or get threatening calls or threaten to burn my house down like Taylor Swift fans did to Pitchfork editor Jillian Mapes when she dared to give Folklore an 8 out of 10. So that's the level we're at, like 8 out of 10, which is very good, especially for Pitchfork. They don't just hand out 8s out of 10s. But she got death threats and harassment online because Swift fans were concerned that it would lower her Metacritic score below 90, which I don't know if it did, but eventually it did get down to 89, which was a big deal. So that was definitely worth the death threats and everything. And that seems, you know, me and Jason were called misogynists, and we just don't get Taylor Swift music.
Well,
it's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's one thing to not like something. I took a lot of heat for all my Billy Joel bashing, but it is what it is. No one threatened to, steal my, stuff in my apartment or anything. But yeah, like if you don't like Taylor Swift, you must be misogynistic. If you don't like BTS, then you must like be pro-war and the planet like destructing because somehow BTS is like the light from heaven coming down. There's so many other groups of fans, and I don't think it ever used to be like that. I mean, Grateful Dead fans have cult status. Obviously, they're not threatening violence on anybody. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff. There's even a little bit of Lorde stuff, like you were talking about. I get, not as vigorous, but if you ever read the comments when people are talking about Greta Van Fleet, it gets pretty heated, and it gets to be like this really thick, like generational divide. And like, who cares? Just relax. And I think the problem is there's a lot of people out there that just don't think that criticism of art of any kind should exist. Like, you go on those like blanket defenses, like, oh, you think you could do better? There's no way you could make a Transformer movies. Who are you to say that Michael Bay sucks? It's like, well, human beings have opinions. All of these people had opinions growing up, which is what formed their artistic sort of, talent. It's kind of ridiculous.
It's definitely ridiculous. And I feel like at this point, I hate to blame everything on social media, but it's all social media's fault. And the fact it's just so easy to form these groups, and on Twitter, it's so easy to, attack someone. And you have like certain levels, like there's the Greta Van Fleet level of like backers and fans. And then as it gets bigger, there's a point where like they just think they can do anything. Like I'm going to single out Taylor Swift fans again, because that seems like a really disruptive group of young ladies and whoever else who think that they can just, bully people into liking an artist. And I think it probably has crept into actual artists or actual critics' ratings, because there is, you look on a site like Metacritic, there's some pretty intense grade inflation going on. Like everybody's getting 8 out of 10s. Nobody wants to criticize anything anymore. Even, Pitchfork's still pretty good about it, but you go to like NME or The Guardian or Rolling Stone, like they're just loving all these new songs and artists from these celebrities. And I don't know, I yearn for the days where they could give Black Sabbath 1 star and Led Zeppelin 1 star. At least like there was some sort of like journalistic integrity, even if it was just bad opinions. At least they had the guts to go after. Like I'd love to see somebody trash the last Taylor Swift album or trash this new Lorde song, because it's just not that good.
One of the ways to kind of combat that is to like Justin Bieber used to have all his Beliebers. I feel like that's died down because, well, the latest album got pretty decent reviews, but I believe the ones before that, especially the one in 2020, did not. So if it's like obviously not good, then it helps a little bit. And he's out of that cute 12-year-old boy phase now, so I don't know, but I agree. You should never get bullied into liking something. I don't like Taylor Swift's music really at all. Love Lorde. I get BTS, but it'll never be my thing, which is fine. But, it doesn't, not liking one single artist does not make the man or woman. Like, it doesn't define your character. And for instance, there's plenty of stuff that I should like or like a lot more than I do based on my other opinions. It's just, people got to relax. The internet's crazy. You're right. Couple other small notes. Ya boys, Guns N' Roses are touring again. You excited?
No, I'm not going to go see them, but good for them. Is it the whole band back together, or are they still feuding?
Yeah, a lot of new stuff coming out. A lot of new touring. What new albums have you listened to, my friend?
I listened to a couple this week. We'll start with AFI, who they made 2 of my top 5s over in our albums of the year. with Sing with Sorrow in 2004, I think. And then again with Crash Love in 2009. And their latest, Bodies. So they've been around for a while. They've had a bunch of stylistic changes. They started out as like a real emo kind of hardcore band. Then they got like pop punky a little bit. And now this latest direction, I don't exactly know what they're going for. Their last album, Blood album, came out a couple years ago. I thought it was pretty decent. This one, I don't know. It's moodier, less screaming guitar solos, which obviously not a good thing for me. And I don't know, the songs are missing something. The choruses, like those catchy sing-along choruses, I don't think are here. Some cool stuff. The groove on Dulcery is really sweet. But there's a bunch of like space in these songs where normally like there'd be a cool guitar solo, especially notice on like Escape from LA. Like it feels like there's like an entire like track missing. Like they forgot to insert the guitar solo. So it's a lot of sort of just like music that, I don't know, it just doesn't feel like there's a point to it that much. So I'm going to give 3 stars for Bodies, which some people would say 3 stars is good. I would not. I think it's a pretty average album. Also listened to King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard, their new album, Butterfly 3000. And I know on this channel, especially in the comments, a lot of King Gizzard fans, big time fans, a lot of nominations and quite a few wins for them. I think Nonagon Infinity won a bunch of people's album of the years. I've never been like a super into these guys. I try and listen to all their albums because they're very interesting, even if they're not like my favorite thing. This one I really did enjoy. It's very chill. It has some like retro MIDI like sound effects, computer effects. It's like vaguely 80s, like Nintendo, sort of late 80s. A lot of like looping synth lines, very chill. Definitely get some like Tame Impala M83 vibes in there. Still nice and progressive though, good playing. So I dug it. I think it's a 4-star album, and it kind of made me want to go back and kind of rehash their old albums because maybe I haven't been quite giving them enough of a chance. So I do want to go check out their whole discography now. So good for King Gizzard. And getting into my head here.
Yeah, they are a darling of some of our commenters for sure. I have a lot of albums that I want to get to, but this week my sister and her 4 and 2-year-old nieces of mine are in town, so I've only gotten to a few. One of those was the AFI album Bodies. I like some of their early stuff a good bit. I have not listened to an AFI album in like 10 years or even kind of revisited the ones that I like. So I don't really know how to feel or what to expect from this, but I'm pretty much on the same wavelength as you. I'm going 2.5, which I think is like your 3 is my 2.5 pretty much. However, as you know, because we were talking about it yesterday, I was very enthusiastic about it after like the first 3 or 4 songs. Then it just kind of went off a cliff. I re-listened to it and I was like, maybe I was just overrating these first few songs. It's not a bad album by any means. I always thought they had much better musical sense than those that they were like affiliated with, like in the same groups of back in the day. Always much better. Their vocals on this one are much closer to Robert Smith than all like the old annoying teen skater pop punk sort of stuff. But this one, when it's good, it's like pretty energetic, nice and speedy. I think the first song's really good. Far Too Near is good. I hated Back from the Flesh. It just sounded like they were listening to New Order and Depeche Mode and Nine Inch Nails all at once and just made like one song. I kind of like some of the space in the songs at times, but I do kind of agree with you that like they have these parts in their songs where they rev up, and then it never kind of, dramatizes or crescendos like there's like a piece missing, like they didn't save after they like went in and put that that part into their software or whatever. So yeah, I am going 2.5 stars for that. I also listened to Path of Wellness, the new Sleater-Kinney, which I would say is a good album, not great. I do like it more than their 2019 release. It's kind of a low-key political album. This is the first album they've done in a while with a new drummer, I believe, or could be wrong. The previous album might have had a different drummer. But it's kind of about like the unrest in Portland last year, but it's not like diehard political. It's very low-key. Like if last summer was the fire, this is the embers that are kind of still in the pit after it's cooled off a little bit. High in the Grass has a great line where it's like the spring came alive and we lost our minds. The song Worry With You is great, full of like anxiety and comfort. Vocals on this are prettier and softer around the edges than I think most Sleater-Kinney, which has like that more punk riot girl kind of vibes. But the vibe of the vocals really matches well with like the tense lyrics, but like done nice and poetically. Great song towards the end called Complex Female Characters. Tiny bit of like the flashy sort of synth pop that was left over from the last stuff. Really love the guitar tones on this, kind of like psych soul, very smooth and summery to me, warm sounding. Song Method is really cool. At the beginning, it almost sounds like it's a really early Aerosmith song. And maybe because it is a little bit political, it's got a nice shot in the arm of like youth to it, like they're taking ownership of these times. The problem is not every song on here is a banger. Pretty much just half of the songs I think are real good. So I'm going 3 stars on this, which to me is good, likable, nothing great. They are amazingly consistent, as I was talking about in someone's comment before. They never, I don't think they have a bad album or even like a decent one. All of them are good or up. I probably like them the most of the 3 of us on the channel, though, I would say.
No Cities to Love from 2014 or 15, I like a good bit. Other than that, I've never really been super into them. I think they're pretty talented, good, consistent. I've never hated one of their albums, so I'm kind of with you on that. They're just not my preferred type, but I think they're pretty good. So I'm going to listen to this one, and maybe I'll have a review for the next GMA,
which will be in 2 weeks. So let's talk about the schedule for you guys. Obviously, this week will be replacements. You guys have been waiting a long time for that. We'll get that going on Tuesday. Then the week after that, we're into our personal picks. And Joe's pick will be Iron Maiden. We'll be starting that on Tuesday. After that, it's going to be Jason's pick. What is it? We want you to guess what it's going to be. It is a classic defining Jason pick. However, it is not Todd Rundgren. So take that for what it is and try to guess what it's going to be. My pick will be the week after that. Also, do you want to know what's going to replace Albums of the Year on Friday? Not this upcoming Friday, but the one after that. We're going to take this Friday off. Joe, tell them what it's going to be.
Well, Kramzer, our new Friday spectacular show. It's what you've all been waiting for. And I may have accidentally revealed it on Twitter last week. So if you're on Twitter, you got the scoop first. And we've had some people in the comments who also have figured it out. We are doing Songs of the Year. And we're doing a little differently. It's not quite the same as Albums of the Year. We're going to expand it a little bit. We're going to do 5 of our favorite from the Billboard 100. As long as it charted on there, it's eligible. Then we're going to do 5 songs that we just love. They can be singles, they can be B-sides, they can be anything they want released from that year. And then we're also going to take our least favorite top 40 song from the year and throw that in there. So you're getting a whole lot of content. And we're going to go a little earlier. We're going to start with the first year that the Billboard 100 was created, which was 1958. So going to be interesting. Some of those like novelty songs and bunch of weirder stuff that I feel like most people have heard, but probably not in a while because they don't really have oldie stations anymore. So these are the songs that you'll hear in movies all the time, like most of these songs, even ones I didn't even think I knew, I've been listening in anticipation, and it's like, oh yeah, okay, so that's from that movie, and that was in this, movie. So these are a lot of these songs you've heard before, but it's interesting to go back and like pick out the ones that you really like from these years. That no Beach Boys, no Beatles, no Bob Dylan. So it's a whole new cast of characters.
Yeah, it'll be really cool covering from 58 on to like 65, because we started albums of the year in 65. So this is pretty much an era that we've never really talked about on the channel. So you've got well over a week to prepare for 1958. And because we're going so far back, this will be our Friday show for like a year pretty much. So there it is. We will be looking forward very much to that. Thanks for tuning into GMA. Don't forget to check out our replacements week starting tomorrow, Tuesday. Friday, we might have an album review or something out, but then Saturday, guest number 2, episode number 2 of Recommendations. Shannon did a great job. Again, thank you, Shannon, from Shannon Talks Music. If you don't know her channel, check it out. She does really good insights about some of her favorite artists. And then, the week after that, we've got Iron Maiden. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications. Let us know what you think of AFI, King Gizzard, and Sleater-Kinney if you've heard it, and let us know what new albums we should be checking out as well. Check out our social media presence on Facebook and Instagram. Maybe not check Twitter, since Joe keeps, spilling all the info on it, unless you want to feel cool and know ahead of everyone else. But I hope you guys have a good week. We'll see you with the replacements tomorrow. Joe, talk to you later, my friend. See you guys later.